Welcome to American Outdoors. Today, we're at the Big South Fork National River and Recreation Area, just beside the Visitor Center and Bandy Creek Campground. This is the 25th annual Spring Planting and Heritage Festival, a gathering that celebrates mountain traditions, live music, and hands-on experiences. And it's a free event, open to anyone who wants to step back in time for a day. You'll find food vendors, craftspeople, and live demonstrations of time-honored skills such as log cutting, blacksmithing, butter making, sheep shearing, and quilting. And you can also take a look at how moonshining was an integral part of life for many families living on the plateau. Later, we'll explore the Laura Blivens Farm and Family Cemetery, see mules plowing fields just as they did generations ago. And at the Oscar Blivens Farm, hear first-hand accounts from one of the last residents of the land before the area became part of the Big South Fork. Since the exhibits are spread out across a large area of the Park Service operates shuttle buses to transport visitors to each location. The Big South Fork isn't just known for its history, it's also home to an incredible variety of wildlife. White-tailed deer move quietly through the forests, while wild turkeys roam the open fields. If you're lucky, you might spot a fox, or even catch a glimpse of a black bear, part of a thriving population that's now close to 1,000 across the region. Along the rivers, otters play in the water, and red-tailed hawks circle overhead. And recently, visitors have even reported sightings of elk returning to these lands after being absent for generations. It's a reminder that here, nature and history are still deeply connected. At the Long Hunter tent, park rangers discussed how, starting in the mid-1700s, men would spend months, sometimes even an entire year, deep in the wilderness of the Cumberland Plateau, hunting game like deer, bear, elk, and beaver, selling furs to buyers in Europe. The Big South Fork region, like much of Kentucky and Tennessee, was part of the territory that long hunters helped to open up. Famous names like Daniel Boone began as long hunters before becoming legends of westward expansion. Throughout the day, visitors to the park could witness how 18th and 19th century settlers created what they couldn't buy. Wood shingles, commonly made from cypress, oak, or cedar, were made using a hand tool called a shingle froe to split the wood into thin, flat shingles. The process was labor-intensive but effective. The wood would be split along the grain, not cut, to help the shingles last longer without cracking. There were also exhibits of early American knife making and blacksmithing. In 1927, Reverend Laura Eldzick Blivens and his wife, Teely Ann, purchased a 45-acre parcel of upland farm ground to build a home of their own. Together, Laura and Teely raised 6 children on that land, without electricity or indoor plumbing. Water for cooking, cleaning, tending the garden, and livestock had to be carried by hand from a nearby spring. The Blivens family utilized mules to plow the fields, cultivating crops like corn, wheat, rye, and flax. Their livestock, pigs, cattle, chickens, geese, and sheep, provided meat, milk, eggs, and wool. To make it through the long winters, they dried, pickled, and stored their harvests in a hand-dug root cellar. Many of the original structures still stand today. The log house, the barn, the corn crib, all built from hand-hewn timbers, a testament to the skill and perseverance of the family who lived here. Beyond the buildings, the landscape holds other stories. There are still fruit and nut trees, the faint traces of old wagon roads, weathered fences, and even the family cemetery. Over time, nature has taken back much of the original homestead. As shown from these 2 images, trees and wild vegetation have reclaimed portions of the property. But every spring, during the festival, and if weather permitting, one field is still cleared and planted, just as the Blivens did nearly a century ago. The family continued to live and work on this land until around 1980, when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers finalized the acquisition of the property, making it part of the newly created Big South Fork National River and Recreation Area, preserving the Blivens homestead and their story for generations to come. The Blevens family cemetery, known as the Katie Blevens Cemetery, is situated adjacent to the Laura Blevens farm. The first burial in this cemetery is believed to be that of Jacob Blevens, who lived from 1811 until 1868, making the cemetery's establishment date around 1868. We should also note that this historic cemetery serves as the final resting place for multiple generations of the Blevens family, as well as other local residents, and is still active today. Heading north, whether by foot, hoof, or shuttle, the Oscar Blevens farm is less than a mile down the road. The land, about 153 acres, was originally purchased around 1879. The log home that was built by John Jack Blevens, a descendant of early settler Jonathan Blevens, is still standing. There is also a large corn crib on the property from the same era. Sometime during the 1950s, a second home and an outbuilding were constructed by his son, Oscar Blevens. That was followed by another barn and a root cellar. Like many Appalachian farms, the land was a mixture of cleared fields for crops and pasture, and timber for hunting, firewood, and building materials. It is quite remarkable to consider the amount of work required to cut and clear virgin land inside heavy forest, removing stumps, cultivating the soil, using 19th century hand tools and mule-powered machinery to make it suitable for farming. Neither house had any plumbing or electricity. Heat and cooking were done via wood stoves. A nearby natural spring provided water. The Blevens family remained on the farm until it was also acquired by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers around 1980. Now, let's listen in as the grandson of Oscar Blevens recollects some of his experiences growing up on their farm.
Get it brown on one side because the fire was over there and on top. You'd have to turn it around to get the other side of it brown.
So this is an original?
Yeah, it's not the one my mom had, but it's just like it.
Oh, okay.
And see these here lifts out. That's the fire is right in there. You can take these out. They had a big cast iron kettle that fit these. You set this out, and then set that cast iron kettle in there. And the fire was burning right against the kettle then.
Gotcha.
And it was like if something was a little hard to cook, you could make it cook on that.
Oh, okay.
And see, there's a thermometer. Corner in yonder is some chestnut, old American chestnut. Yeah, it come out of another old house. Me and Daddy went and got it. Like these, that door there, that big board on that door, see where these knots are together like this, that's white pine. But now where they've hewed on these here, they was thinning the board down without hewing the whole board to where the top of it was smooth and level, where you wouldn't stump your toe on it. Now these outside walls are 10 foot instead of 8 foot. And that raised the roof up to make a lot more room up there for more rooms. You have big rooms upstairs without having a 2-story house. That was here. That was my dad.
Yeah, right.
Right in here, in the corner, right over here. That radio sat on a table right over there. AB pack battery radio. And the antenna went out the window there, and there was an old chestnut pole in the corner of the yard. Right. Always worry about in the summertime, this time of year, when we was leaving and going to town, they would take the antenna loose. Well, there had been a few times that the next few days, there'd be a dead place in the grass out there where that was thrown back away from the house, where lightning had come down that and burnt the grass. So it'd have been in the house here if we hadn't disconnected the antenna. It all in here. And I was a bookworm. See, over here is one of my bookshelves. We had cats and dogs, and Daddy had sheep a long time ago, hogs, pigs, cattle, and he had mules. He used mules to plow with. I enjoy plowing, horse-drawn plow. Now, over here, when they're coming in on this spring planting over here, they cheat. They bring plows that they ride. We never did have them. We had to walk behind them. Over here, this one here with that light on it is the old American chestnut.
That's beautiful.
That's never been finished with any varnish that I know of or anything like that. It's just one of the most beautiful natural colors of any wood that I've ever seen. Well, now, Daddy usually would disc where he had cleared new ground, he'd usually disc it and sow grass on it and run the cattle on it. They would pick the sprouts off, and that would kill the stump thing. And then it would eventually rot out. Then you'd take the plow and go through there and just pop them out.
That sounds a lot easier than just trying to pull them out.
Oh yeah.
After you cut them down.
In the house, the air in the house here wasn't that bad. It get pretty warm, but the floor was always cold because the house wasn't underpinned. Sometime or other, when you're here looking around, go to this end here and look up under. Look how well preserved that is. It's just sound as it can be. Where it wasn't underpinned, see, and the air could flow through and keep it dried out.
Okay.
It's in good shape under there.
So up top you had what, 2 bedrooms? 3 bedrooms?
Yeah, they was we had a bed in this and one in that and back there too. But up there he kept a lot of garden gleanings, sweet potatoes, peanuts, popcorn, his other corn that he kept for seed. Kept it up there.
How about the moonshine? Where'd you keep that?
Well, that was something that was kind of
Go to the creek.
it's kind of questionable in a lot of places. But my dad was a strict church-going man.
Okay, I got you.
And there was never no that the only moonshine that I ever seen in this house, the Fenner County Sheriff give it to my dad. And he poured it, the sheriff poured the moonshine in a bottle of camphor. That's the only moonshine I ever seen Dad bring in.
Could use it.
That camphor, that was for medicine. Now there were some of the folks down in this country here, I won't call no names, but I've heard that made some pretty potent stuff. My dad was.
Yeah.
They was in the process of doing that. I got married in '78 and moved to town, become a city slicker. Oh, he didn't like it. He didn't like it at all.
So he was still working the ground and.
Oh yeah. Me and Daddy was building on a cellar right down here by one of these trails that goes back to Bandy Creek. Whenever the legislation was passed, January 1974, to make this park. And so Daddy, when he looked at the legislation, he went to telling the neighbors, Said they're going to make us move some of these days. Oh no, they can't do that. Daddy said, well, just wait
How
and
long
see.
after the
Well,
legislation?
the legislation was passed in January of '74, and then in I don't know 77, 78, along in there they was starting the process. But they bought Daddy out and moved him out in 1981.
Hmm.
So from 74 to 81, you could say.
And that's something. You think of the heart and soul you put into this place, and you
Yeah.
don't have any choice. You just got to go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be around here somewhere.
Wow, that's great.
It was kind of heartbreaking, really.
Memories, yeah.
Daddy bought this. I think I seen the papers here a while back, but I think it was along in the early 40s, I guess, when Daddy bought it. And Daddy bought it off of over where the spring planting by the cemetery there, the Lori Blivens place. Daddy bought it off of Lori's wife, Tilly. Well, that goes way back. The first old Blivens that come in here was Jonathan Blivens, born sometime in the year 1779. Okay. I'm a descendant from the first wife, and Lori's a descendant from a second wife. He had, I believe, nine children with the first wife, and she died, and he married and had 3 more kids. And Lori's a descendant from one of them. So you can kind of trace that back and eventually figure out what kin we were.
That's awesome.
Jonathan would have been my 3rd great-grandfather.
You can find more episodes like this one by clicking on our channel. You can also check us out on X, Facebook, and Pinterest. If you enjoyed this video, help support our channel with a like and subscribe, and be sure to leave your comments and questions below. From all of us here at American Outdoors, thanks for watching.